Hello everyone, and Shlamchon Yisgeh. May your peace abound. This video is part one in a new series entitled Aramaic Old Testament, in which we will be looking at passages from the Aramaic portions of the Old Testament. There are 4 books in the Old Testament that have sections written in Aramaic, as opposed to the rest of the Old Testament, which is written in Hebrew. Genesis has one verse, chapter 31, verse 47. Jeremiah also has one verse, chapter 10, verse 11. Ezra has parts of 4 chapters, chapters 4 through 7. However, the book with the largest Aramaic section is Daniel, which from chapter 2, verse 4b to the end of chapter 7 is in Aramaic. So that's almost 6 full chapters. During this series, I will also be giving some information about the Aramaic language. Aramaic is a Semitic language in the Northwest Semitic grouping, just as is Hebrew. Biblical Aramaic and Biblical Hebrew are thus very similar and very closely related. By way of comparison to modern languages, I would say the two are about as similar as in Italian and Spanish. So fairly similar. So to begin the series, let's start out by looking at one of the most interesting people in the entire Bible, Nebuchadnezzar. And let's start at the end with Nebuchadnezzar's confession of faith and presentation of the gospel in chapter 4 of Daniel. And then let's work backwards to see the events which led him to this confession. So let's start out in chapter 4, verse 1, where the great king gives a beautiful salutation, which reads in the Aramaic, Nebuchadnezzar, malka lechol amamea, umea, velashanea, didayarin bechol ara'a, shlamchon yisgeh. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, to all the peoples, nations, and languages that live in all the earth, may your peace abound. And verse 2 continues, It has seemed good to me to show the signs and wonders that Ila'a, the Most High God, has done for me. And then verse 3 reads in the Aramaic, Otohi kama rab rabin, vetimhohi kama takifin, malchute malchut alam, veshaltane imdar vedar. How great are his signs, how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an eternal kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. Now let's skip down to verse 34, where Nebuchadnezzar says, in the Aramaic, V'liktzat yomea ana Nebuchadnezzar ene lashmiya nitlet, u'mandei ali yatuv. Ula'ila abachet, melache alma shabechet, vehadaret, di shaltane shaltan alam, umalchute imdar vedar. At the end of that time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes toward heaven, and my sanity was restored. Then I praised the Most High, and I honored and glorified him who lives forever. His dominion is an eternal dominion. His kingdom endures from generation to generation. So the content of the gospel that Nebuchadnezzar is presenting here is that all Amamea, Umea, Velashanea, peoples, nations, and languages should serve Elaha Ila'a, the Most High God, whose Malchu, kingdom, and Shaltan, dominion, are Alam, eternal. So the question is, who is this Elaha Ila'a, Most High God? For the answer, let's look at Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 through 14. Daniel 7, 13 through 14. Verse 13 reads, I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, one as Var Enash, the Son of Man, was coming. And he came up to Atik Yomea, the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. And now verse 14 reads in the Aramaic, Ve'le yahiv shaltan ve'gir u'malchu ve'chol amamea umea ve'lashanea le yiflechun shaltane shaltan alam di la yadeh umalchote di la titchabal. And to him was given dominion, glory, and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages might serve him. His dominion is an eternal dominion which will not pass away, and his kingdom is one which will not be destroyed. So we see here that the one whom all peoples, nations, and languages will serve, and whose kingdom and dominion are eternal, who Nebuchadnezzar calls Elaha Ilaha, the Most High God, is Var Enash, the Son of Man, and that he will come on the clouds of heaven and set up his eternal dominion and kingdom. So let's turn to the New Testament and see exactly who this one is. Let's take a look at Matthew 26, 63 through 64. Matthew chapter 26, verses 63 through 64, where the high priest is questioning Jesus. But Jesus kept silent, and the high priest said to him, I adjure you by the living God that you tell us whether you are the Messiah, the Son of God. Jesus said to him, You have said it yourself. Nevertheless, I tell you that hereafter you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven. So therefore, we see that Jesus Christ, the Messiah, the Son of God, is the Son of Man, the Most High God, the one who will come with the clouds of heaven and set up an eternal dominion and kingdom. So if you're watching this video and you've never believed in Jesus Christ, why not do that right now? And you, along with Nebuchadnezzar and all peoples, nations, and languages who believe in Jesus Christ, will become a part of his dominion, which is an eternal dominion, and his kingdom, which endures from generation to generation. Thank you, and Mehodeh Anah.